been a great day. I'm very excited. I want to commend you all for being here on a Saturday. You know, there's a lot of choices you get to make in life, and what people don't realize is the choices you make you. And it's very, you know, you've got to be consciously aware of the choices you make. And, you know, I want to talk to you a little bit today about finding and developing leaders, how you do that, and your value as a person. And I'm going to talk from personal experience, of course, because that's always the teaching how you made mistakes and what you learned along the way. And of course, since I'm the oldest person in here, doesn't mean I know the most, but I probably know more than most. And we've done a lot. And you know, it's interesting because most of you don't know what Dana and I experience on a daily basis or how we respond to it. What you see is a couple that is always excited. I'm always jacked up. I never complain. My wife never complains about any of the things that we're going through because we are focused on one thing. We're focused on the team. We're focused on your success because your success directly impacts our success. I never worried about my success because I always knew that if I could help other people succeed, I would automatically succeed. And that's why, you know, Joe joked about some of the comments that you never hear at work, like, you know, people before profits. That's a comment that only happens in this business because people are more important than profits. And when you put people first and you make people decisions, you'll always win. Because they're going to get to know you extremely well. We live in glass house. I live in a glass house. And that's why when Dan said, you know, what you see Vinny and how you see Vinny and Dana on stage is how you see them when you come to their home. There's no other. I don't know the other Vinny. I don't have a split personality. I'm crazy, but it's not split. It's just one deal. So is my wife. You saw Dana getting a little bit bored in that video, right? She starts, ha-ha, and sing, and she's got to entertain herself. You know? I mean, there's an attention span very small in Dana. You know, when we used to drive across the country, go from New York, well, not across the country, but go from New York to Michigan, it was about a 13-hour trip. And about 2 hours into the trip, it was amazing that I could deal with it for the next 11 hours because she would try literally to drive me crazy. And when the kids were in the car, it was even worse. But we've always had fun, my wife and I, no matter what's going on. And, you know, I was talking to some folks in the back before the meeting. I said, look, the last 10 years, my wife has been a caregiver. It started with her dad who had dementia and passed 5 years ago, and then Tony had cancer, and she was, you know, very much involved with that. And in the last few years has been her mom. We had her mom living with us for 3 years and in an assisted living home for 2. And Dana went to see her every day that we were in New York. Every day. Most people go see when they have their mom and I'm not judging anybody, everybody's different. When they have their mom or dad in a home of some sort, they go once a week, if they're lucky. My wife went every day. It was 3 hours out of her life every day. Well, what do you think? That has an effect on me, right? That means that we're not together for 3 hours. I built this business so we could spend quality time together. I sacrificed day after day, night after night to build a future in my family if they were related to me. Because my kids are successful. That's from what we taught them. We have people that are successful because of what we've taught, the example we've set. But that is not how I entered into the business thinking about that. And this is what I want to impress upon you. My mother never appreciated me and what I did in her life. My father passed away in 1981, June 19th. It's almost 44 years ago. I was 24. And I took care of my mother for the next 38 years because she lived 38 years without my father. And she lived with my sisters, but I was the one responsible to take care of her. And when we closed that store 12 years after my father passed away, and my mother and sister stole $3 million from us, my wife and I, and we had debt, she devastated me. Not because of just the financial ramifications, but of the hurt that she did. She pulled my heart out of my chest, because who would believe that your mother, the woman that carried you in her womb for 9 months, would betray you to that level and create hardship in my life the way that she did. We ended up losing our house and our cars and all kinds of things. So she did not value me taking her out to dinner every Friday night for 10 years. And the vacations that my wife and I took her to. And the times that Dana, my wife, made every dinner, every Easter and every Christmas for all the years up until the time we lost the store. I'm not complaining. I believe that that's why we are blessed today. Because I believe that God will restore you 1,000 times over. I don't look at the problems and feel sorry for myself. I embrace them because I want to learn from them. Because I ask God, what do you want me to learn from this? That's my question every day. All of you, most of you question, why me? I don't ask why me. I want to know what I can learn from it so that the rest of my life improves because of what's happened. And I can share my understanding and accomplishments and my love for other people because of how he has restored me and how I have had redemption. So I want you to think of something. You may have entered into this business and maybe you don't feel valued. Maybe you don't feel that you've been appreciated. Because I didn't feel appreciated. But I've learned something. The value of this business is not the money, but it's what you learn and how you appreciate and understand how you become valued. I'll give you an example. Why does a bottle of water cost $1 in the supermarket? It costs $2 at the gym, $5 at the airport, and $7 at the stadium when you go to a sporting event. Is the water different? No. It's the location of the water that is different. And the value that they get for the water is because of the location. When I worked for my mother, I was not valued because of the location. When I got into this business, and when you got into this business, you are valued because we put value on you, because we understand the principles of God and what he wants in our lives, which is to love thy neighbor as we love thyself. And this is not a spiritual talk, but this is a talk about how I believe we should live and how we should view other people. Because my personal experience is that my own mother did not value me. But when I got into this business, I met people who started to put value on me. Here's the difference between me and most. I believe that value. I appreciate the value they gave me. And I started to respond and build and treat people the way I had been started to be treated. And it created a great pattern in my life of success. And it also taught me how to live with the adversity. Because many years ago, I was also, when things happened to me, I didn't understand. I said, why God me? Because I did not have value from the people around me because I was in the wrong location. You are now in this location. You are in this room, you are on this team, and your ability to believe the value that we put on you is going to determine where you go in this business. And you can either fight the value and question the value for the next 10 years or 15 years or whatever it is, or you can embrace the value and start to believe that you are worthy, that you have something more to contribute to the world than just your job, that you can create something that's much greater than what you thought you could create prior to getting in this business. Because see, I've seen people get in this business, and I can go around the room and I can tell somebody, when you got in, how much money did you make? It's your job. How much money do you make now? And it's a significant difference. Why? Did the water change? No, it's the location. It was understanding that now the lies that were told were not the truth. And he started to believe. You started to believe. That sports jacket you have on, who gave it to you? Stand up. Joe, stand up. Who gave you that sports jacket? You did. I've given away more clothes. My wife's given away more clothes. That doesn't make us great. But we believe in people, so we want to help because we put value into you. You have to embrace the value and make the changes and decide that you're going to live up to these principles and values, because they're not my principles and values. They're his principles and values. I didn't create it. I'm not that sharp. But I learned how to maximize it. Mike said to me the other day, Vinny, it's amazing how much love you have. He listened to the eulogy I gave to my mother-in-law. And he says, I just can't get over the love that you have for everybody. Well, it's not because I always got love from the people around me. I've been hurt many times. But I learned something extremely important, that he's my real father, and he loves me, and he never will leave me, and he always believes in me, and he will help me through all adversity. So here's the thing. Self-image and attitude. You are going to contact people that you believe are like you. If you contact crappy people, it's because you don't have a good self-image. Because you look at that person you're contacting, because I hear it all the time. Oh, man, I got this sharp guy. Wait till you meet this guy. He is sharp. And then I meet the guy and I go, whoa. That's what he thinks is sharp? Now, when I got in, I did the same thing. Charlie Durso, one time, I had a team meeting and I had 3 people, new persons sitting in the back. And I said, Charlie, after the team meeting, come here. And I said, I want you to meet my three new. One was missing a tooth. I'm not kidding. One was in a sweatshirt. And one was 70 years old and had a stroke and had a walker. That's who I brought to the team meeting. And Charlie goes, you're going diamond with them? My self-image didn't allow me to contact sharper people at that point. So I had to contact, I had to sponsor, I had to lose a whole bunch of people until I started to realize what this business was. And as I came around more and more, and I read more, and I listened to more audios, podcasts, I started to see the value of this business, and it started to raise my self-image. And my attitude got better, and it got stronger, and I built this armor around me so no one could penetrate. No one could tell me this wasn't the greatest business in the world. And I started to go out with enthusiasm and excitement and talk to people with this great enthusiasm because I saw the value that was put on me and I believed it. You got to believe what we're telling you. You think we're telling you this so we make money? No, we're telling this so you make money. You create a better life for yourself because I'm good. I don't need you to succeed for me to do well. I'm already doing well. And we've worked extremely hard to do that. We never took a shortcut. We didn't buy stuff that we couldn't afford. We were not trying to prove to anyone how great this business was financially. If people on my team didn't like what I drove, too friggin' bad. Because I didn't buy a car to impress you. Because that's not going to impress you. What's going to impress you is the depth of my conviction, the passion of my beliefs, and the amount of willingness that I have to help you and serve you. That's what's going to impress you. There's no amount of money that's going to impress you because it's not in your pocket. But me serving you and my wife serving you, that's going to mean something. Right, Carla? Carla just launched her first personal. And she sent my wife a text and myself a text, and she said, "Thank you. It wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for all of your patience," because it took her a long time to understand how to make a contact. Maybe 8 or 9 months, a year. You know how fast a year goes? Like that. Paul Maggi and Carrie Maggi, new 3.6s. Paul, how long you been in the business? 15 years. It didn't take Paul 15 years to go 3.6. It took him 15 years to understand the value and to believe it and trust it. And hundreds of hours of conversation that I had with him. Now, I'm hoping that not everyone in the room is going to take 15 years. The point is I don't care. I didn't wait for him for me to succeed. I went out and succeeded without him. And I look at his beautiful bride, and she looks so pretty. I'm so proud of you, buddy. And my wife keeps talking about Carrie, and every time they come to the house, Carrie sits next to my wife in the living room. You know the love we have? You know how it makes us feel as people because we're making a difference? Maybe my difference isn't measured, the way that some people look at significance, but I feel significant because I know I'm helping people to have significance. But your attitude and your self-image are going to control that. And I want you to understand something. When you get your attitude and your self-image right, then you're going to take your needs and you're going to multiply that times your faith, and that's going to equal your motivation, because needs times faith equal motivation. Write that down. Needs times faith equal motivation. If you're not motivated, it's because you don't have the self-image and you don't really have a need. And when you have the self-image, you'll have the faith to believe that you can go out and get what you need. But we have to work on those things with you. That's why you need to read. That's why you need to listen every day. That's why you need to come to every stinking meeting. I didn't miss a meeting. Why? Because I needed to be fed. And I learned that a crumb became a meal because I appreciated every crumb. I didn't need a feast. I needed a couple of crumbs at every meeting. And those crumbs became feasts. And I started to add them in my brain, and I started to act on those things, and I started to improve myself. And I saw that I treated my wife better, and I treated my kids better, and I interacted with people better because I wanted to be the best I could be. I wanted to be excellent, as Dan was talking about. I wanted to be in the zone like Mike and Dana talked about. I understood why Amway, and I understood why this team like Joe and Karen talked about. And I said, there's nothing like this. I can go to any church, I can go every Sunday, but I will never meet a group of people in business that stand for the right things and are willing to stand up and be counted and make a difference in society. Because I see a lot of people, man, when I scroll through TikTok and I see all the complainers and I see all the malcontents, and they think by protesting, then this and yelling and cursing and screaming, that's going to make a difference. That does not make a difference. What makes a difference is love and commitment to others, and being willing to take time away from your family and your loved ones to share and give to others. And telling the truth and not being afraid of it, and not being afraid of accepting the truth. And then doing something about it. You know, as Nick Saban says, this little 1 minute, 34-second talk, it's a talk on nothing. Pretty interesting talk. He says, when you get up in the morning, the world owes you nothing. And it's the truth. He says, you can have talent and you can be, so gifted, but if you don't have focus and dedication and commitment, you'll get nothing. You can be in this business and you can read and you can listen, but if you don't apply what you learn, you'll get nothing. And you can believe that you can make it, or you can believe you won't make it, and you know you're going to be right on both accounts, because you got to believe you can do it. And I saw this business and I believed. I didn't know. There's a difference. I believe. Knowing that chair exists, it's there. But if that chair wasn't there, I wouldn't know that there could be a chair there. I didn't know I could go diamond, but I believed I could go diamond. And when I spoke to people, I spoke like a diamond. Or at least I thought I did. Why? Because I spoke with confidence. I spoke with enthusiasm. I was excited. People say to me, Vinny, you're always excited. Yeah, you know why? Because when I enter into this room is where I can be Vinny, and everybody loves me for Vinny and who I am, and I don't have to be anything but me. And that's the same for all of you. We don't want you to be me. We don't want you to be Dana. We don't want you to be Mike or Dana or Mel and Amy or Mike and Lauren or Nick and Emily or Chris and Jenny or the Farages or Joe and Danielle or Dennis and Danielle or Dan and Brent. We don't want you to be any of those people. We want you to be the best you can be. And that's all you need to be to do this business. And when you decide that you're worthy, it's going to show up in the people you contact, and it's going to show up in the way you talk, and it's going to show up in every aspect of your life as the way you treat your spouse, your significant other, the way you treat your children, the confidence in which you speak, the love that you have, because that's what going diamond is. Going diamond is not what you get from it, but it's who you become through the process. So I hope today, with the topics we had and what you learned, and if you're brand new I know it's a lot to understand. If you're here for a first time, it's a lot to understand, but it's the beginning of your journey. And if you stick with it and you allow us to keep impacting you and you open yourself up and you believe what most people think because they're narrow-minded, closed-minded, and they let the world determine how they think. But if you're willing to put that all aside and believe your gut, like Joe and Karen have, and many others have, then you'll be there one day.
For the calendar year 2024, the average income from Amway for all U.S. registered IBOs at the Founders Platinum level and below was $723 before expenses. See www.amway.com/income-disclosure for details.